Hi guys, thanks for watching. This week I want to talk about my main tank, the Mbuna Malawi cichlid tank, which is looking really nice. They're mostly hiding at the moment. They're not too comfortable with me being sort of busy around the tank yet. They haven't quite got used to that. Once I sit down and just chill in front of the tank, they come out and they show off and they come out to feed all the time. They're really nice to look at, but they aren't going to perform for me right now, I don't think. You can see a couple of them coming out over there and then hiding straight back again, but they're just a little bit tetchy at the moment, but they're only in here for a few weeks, so that's not surprising. But yeah, I will do some proper update videos on the fish in a future video. This week I want to talk about the tank and a customization idea I have for the tank hood. So this is a dual record tank from the early 2000s. I think I got this tank when I was a kid, about 2002, 2003, something like that. So it's 17 years old, which is making me feel old. But yeah, it's a pretty basic hood, just made of plastic, and it has these little flaps that just literally just pull out. Really good for maintenance. You can get your whole hand in there, no problem. And yeah, it means you don't have to always take the hood off when you're doing maintenance, which is great. Yeah, and I've been thinking recently about growing herbs and wanting to make use of the fact that we have a fairly good bit of sunlight coming through this window, yeah, herbs like basil and parsley and maybe some lettuce leaves are things that we use quite regularly in the house and don't always have fresh to hand. And obviously fish give off lots of waste, and aquaponics setups that use fish are generally quite good, and normally aquaponics sets that use fish tanks have a proper filtration system that's set up where you pump the water out of the fish tank over the aquaponics setup, so it's normally something that would probably be up here on a shelf, pumps it through the aquaponics setup and then back into the tank, and it kind of helps the tank in terms of bringing out some of the chemicals out of the water, and obviously the tank water is really good for the plants. I didn't want something quite as complicated or as ugly as having a kind of shelf system up here with like aquaponics, looking a little bit like a science experiment. So I thought I would do something with this piece of plastic. Because it struck me that if I could find the right type of plant pots, I could drill holes in the top of this and nestle the plant pots so they just touched the lip of the water. And from a viewing perspective, you wouldn't really notice them. Eventually you might get some roots coming through them a little bit and they might just dangle down, but it wouldn't look any different to having floating plants on here. So fairly similar kind of setup to like if you had duckweed or something in here, it wouldn't look that different. And yeah, and then hopefully it would be a good sort of setup for growing some herbs at the top, and I think it would look quite attractive having some greenery just growing at the top of the hood. So yeah, I decided that I didn't want to destroy the original hood just in case I scrap the project, don't want to do it anymore or whatever, and I found a place online that custom cut perspex. So I just measured the original and ordered a new one, and I got two just in case I either muck it up or want to eventually do both hoods, but I'll probably just do one, mainly because it means I've still got good access to the tank and for feeding, etc. Also because free kind of plants growing up is probably enough, and there's more sunlight over this side because this side's slightly shaded by the curtain. So yeah, it fits perfectly. It's got a cover on at the moment, like a protective film, which I'll take off after I've drilled it. Yeah, so I'll show you now how I intend to make it work. So I've got two types of pot to use in this project because I measured the height of each pot when I was ordering them, and I realised that the combination of the two and the fact that they had the top of this had the diameter that was roughly the same as the bottom, so they would go down like that. If I cable tied the two together, would create a pot that went all the way down to the lip of the water without going too much in. It goes about like 1 millimeter or 2 into the water. So I need to drill something into the plastic that is the right diameter for this to kind of sit over it and for the lip to just grab the top and not fall through. and we have some sprouting. So not much going on in the parsley, but it is just sprouting, as you can see there, probably. Moving on to the lettuce, which is really going for it, and it's like, I don't know, 3, 6, 9, probably like 12 little sprouts, and even the basil is sprouting. So all I've been doing is taking a pipette and getting water out of that side and just dripping it on top, just to make sure that it's nice and moist, which it always is, to be fair, every time I go and do it, but I just put a little bit more anyway. And obviously the wicks are helping to kind of bring moisture out from the tank anyway, but just while we're getting it to germinate and sprout, not really sure the technical terms, to be honest, just doing that as well with the pipette, just to keep it nice and moist. And I think probably today or tomorrow I will plug the top with a little bit of soil now that they've germinated, give it a little bit of extra nutrients and help them to grow. Cool. So flash forward a week and we finally have some growth on the parsley. Bizarrely one longer than all the rest. The lettuce is looking good, and the basil is looking good. So that's after 1 week. So basil works out okay, and parsley's not so bad, but don't bother with lettuce. I think really in conclusion, it's been 3-4 weeks now. None of them work that well, let's face it. I think probably better growing some terrestrial plants that are actually going to add good filtration to the tank, and not try and grow a herb garden. But there you go, you live and you learn. Thirty-six divided by 3. Hey Google, what's 36 divided by 3?
The answer is 12.
But I didn't want to ruin the original, what do you call it? The original top, because it might not work, and I might want to put it back to normal and forget about this project.